series. They need to bring it back. It was so good.
It would be such a good series today. It really would. It's
I
such
know.
a fun fighter.
It was like a different version of Smash Brothers. It was a party fighting game. I don't know why they stopped making it. It was so good.
I know. It's a real
Do you have
the name doesn't sound very memorable.
I can think of a game you can put on your shrine, Diablo Immortal. Have you bought it yet?
It's a free game, but no, I haven't touched it.
I think Kaya wants to
there's still elements where you can buy.
All right, Kaya, go ahead and talk about Diablo Immortal.
No, I don't
game of
really
the
care. Game is it? Okay, so I think this is the one where a while ago at a BlizzCon, they announced a new Diablo game, and the whole audience went like, hell yeah, fuck yes, and they lost their minds. And then the announcer said, it's for mobile. And everyone started booing. And the guys are like, why are you guys booing us? This is awesome. Don't you want more Diablo on mobile?
Yeah,
what is wrong with you all?
This is the event where that famous, you guys have phones, right? Line came from.
And the other guy got in line for questions and he said, is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that guy is apparently playing the game, by the way. I don't know if you guys kept up with that aspect. Someone found his Twitter and he was like, yep, I'm playing the game. It's actually pretty okay. We'll see how bad and grindy it gets later, but it's all right.
I've heard it is a decent mobile game up until the end game when shit goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Well, it's huge, right, Kaya? That's where you were going?
Well, I mean, I just put a tweet, but then Jackson debunked it. Apparently, Diablo Immortal has made 24 million in just 2 weeks.
That sounds low.
Jackson said that's not a lot.
Yeah, that sounds low.
For a mobile game, yeah. And so, yeah, what I wrote in the chat was, for reference, Diablo 3 made 210 million in the first 24 hours. Because it's a box product, obviously, so it sold 3.5 million units at $60 back in 2012, so that's roughly like $210 million. So 24 million in 2 weeks for the new Diablo thing doesn't really seem like that much to me. But it is a mobile game, and most of the monetization comes at the end game, so...
Yeah, mobile games are a long con. Like, with a box game, you pay $60 up front, and then the majority of people don't buy anything else beyond that within it, but... For a mobile game, it's the grind. You know, you constantly are spending $5 a day or a month or whatever. Yeah, or the people who dump in on it. But like, you know, box game, a lot of people don't buy DLC. Whereas with mobile games, there's a much bigger incentive, usually in how they're designed, to buy like, oh, the lightning pass or the energy refill or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe it could be big. A lot of people are saying it's good. I've seen positive reception for it.
Yeah, a lot of people say the game is good. It's just the monetization.
Well, I've heard the game is bad at the end game because the monetization bleeds into it so heavily. Like, you can't get actually competitive gear unless you, like, hand over money.
Yeah. A streamer named Quinn has actually been wailing on it. It took him just over $25,000 to get his first 5 out of 5 gym, which is what you're talking about, Jackson.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You need to outwhale him, Charlie.
I would never. I do not participate in microtransactions of any kind, except Pokemon Unite when I was slapping kids around.
Just about to say, unless it causes childhood trauma, and then you do it.
Unless you can directly harm children, you're not paying for it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You're a sick man.
I just know what are good microtransactions and what are bad ones.
I think about that moment every single day of my life where the fucking, like, casual pro MOBA team started playing against a family of 5 in Pokemon Unite.
Oh, it's so good, I know. It was so good.
Yeah, what were their names again? Like Mama Pokemon?
Like Mama Gunderson or some shit?
Yeah, it was so good, yeah, because they were all named after the family, so there was like... Papa Bear, and then Mama Bear, and then like baby bear, Boo Boo Bear, and stuff. And they got spawn locked by a protein.
So good.
They shouldn't have stepped into the arena.
I know, it's their fault. They win the Thunderdome, baby.
Yeah.
How dare they have a fun, supportive family system?
Fucking
close
idiots.
Relationships.
Stupid morons, all of them.
Stick to Candy Crush, kids. You're not welcome out here.
So is it the most egregious game with microtransactions? has it set the record, or is there a game that you guys know of that has worse microtransactions? How much worse can it get? I'm so sick of microtransactions.
I thought the
Especially in
record
paid
went
games.
to that Star Wars game where someone
Yeah,
did the math
Battlefront.
and it would have been impossible to get some
Darth
skin.
Vader. Yeah, Darth
Yeah.
Vader.
What
Well, that
it?
was different because that was in a fully paid game. That
That's
wasn't a
even
free-to-play
worse,
game.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is
So
even worse.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's
Makes it more
worse.
egregious.
But I don't think that it was priced as badly as this. Like, what did you say? $25,000?
Yeah, it took him just over $25,000 to get his first 5/5 gym.
Yeah, it would have cost you at max like $30 to unlock all of the characters in Star Wars Battlefront, I would imagine. But yeah, not saying that's good. Obviously, it's not because it's a full price game. Just microtransactions need to die, but they're not going to die.
No, it's too lucrative. They're here to stay, and people defend them a lot of times anyway now.
The argument I always hear is that what's the argument? It's that video game prices haven't gone up in 40 years, but inflation has, or other prices have gone up. So video games have stayed at $60 most of the time. They've just gone up to $70. But yeah, they're the most inexpensive form of entertainment, people say, and I probably agree with that. But at the same time, these video game companies make so much profit already. So
My issue
like,
is
they're not hurting.
with them offering microtransactions in the first place. It's that they are fucking weasels who prey on your dopamine receptors and children. I still remember the whole hoopla arguments where it even split the gamer community, where some country was trying to ban microtransactions, at least for
was
little
Belgium.
children, because they were arguing that it was gambling, and all the fucking gamers came out saying, no, it's nothing like gambling. Like, bro, it literally is. Loot boxes are fucking gambling. What the fuck else do you call spending money and having a chance of winning more money? That's gambling, right? That's my problem. Like, lock children out of this shit, don't let them do it. But if some fucking 40-year-old man wants to, again, fry his dopamine receptors by pissing away $5 at a time, that's his choice, I guess, right? We don't
Why
stop
don't-
that same man from walking into a casino.
I agree, but like the products that you're buying from those loot boxes, they don't, like, you can't resell them, can you, for profit, for money usually? I guess you can in CS:GO, but that's about it, right?
CS:GO is like the main one. I can't think of too many other games where you can resell for profit though.
Used to be
There's-
able to in Team Fortress 2,
You
but
still
they're-
can. I was gonna say TF2.
Yeah, but everything kind of crashed in value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, I would still consider it a sucker's trap. I mean, it's one of those little crane
I agree.
games, you know, where you insert
Yeah.
like $5 and then you have
That's-
a little crane arm to get a toy out of it. And most of the time it fails because it's designed to fail. That's still a
So
sucker's trap.
here's an interesting question. I've thought about this in the past. So in 1999, I've seen ads for this and know growing up that games were still like $60 back in 1999. So, you know, you buy like GoldenEye or fucking Banjo-Kazooie or fucking PlayStation 1 game, you pay $60 in 1999 for it. Today, that would be about $105. So would you guys raise the prices of video games to $105 each if it meant they had no microtransactions whatsoever?
Jokes on you, Andrew. I already pay like $130 over here for video games because of Australian import tax.
Jackson can sit this one out.
Yeah. Wait, I get a discount? Fuck yeah. I'm on board.
I really think the current pricing of video games is perfect. The microtransactions suck, obviously, but you're also not forced in most games to do them. So I certainly wouldn't take the extra $40 just to get rid of them. I just don't buy them in the first place.
But
I
would
am
you-
worried about how they affect game design in the future, though, going
that's,
forward.
That's where I was going with that. Would you argue that the microtransactions create a lack of content and then they push it into microtransactions?
No, I never really see that. Like, if you're talking DLC with like story or map or something like that, I guess. But I very rarely see microtransactions that seem like it was content locked behind a paywall and taken out just for the sake of money. The only place I've seen that is like Mass Effect when they brought in the Promethean DLC guy. And even then, I don't see too much of it. So I
That
just,
annoyed me so much back in the day, though.
same.
He was so integral to the story too. One of the best characters.
Do you remember in Mass
Never even
Effect
played
3? So everyone talks about how bad the ending is with all the colors, but do you remember once the game finally ended, you got a little text message and it said, "The campaign of Shepard is now over. You can continue the fight with additional downloadable content." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was so fucking egregious. Terrible.
That at all.
You literally get like a little fucking Microsoft Sam text up fucking pop-up box that tells you to buy the DLC campaign. So funny.
How much did Microsoft Sam get paid for that sponsorship?
I
deal?
hope so. That man works really hard.
Yeah, but okay, so briefly going back to the whole loot box shenanigans with children, why do we have a problem with that, but we don't have a problem with arcades? Kids going and spending money on little, like, chance machines.
That's under parent supervision. They're not left to themselves. What are you talking about? That's super different.
Parents should be supervising them on video games as well, though.
Yeah, but they obviously
I
don't.
agree.
It's also a totally different experience, Jackson. It's like a theme park. You give a kid like...
It's only different because it's in real life.
No, it's like a theme park, Jackson. You give a kid like $40 and you say, "Okay, go to the arcade, have fun." And you go there and you pick which game you want to play and you choose what you want to spend the money on. Whereas a microtransaction, it's still just there. It's still preying on you when you're at home and while you're playing the game.
And your
But the whole
parents
point-
Arcades are fun.
The thing, yeah, but well, yeah, that's true. That's also a good part, that arcades are fun. But also, once you hook up your credit card or your PayPal account to one of these apps, most of the people who spent money on them, they don't even themselves realize just how much they have spent. That's the issue. They prey on literal fucking addicts.
That's on them. That's on. Well, yeah. That's.
Yeah, but
kinda
it's not on them when they're children, Jackson. That's the whole issue. That was my issue when the whole fucking this argument went down, and the gamers had their knee-jerk reaction of, "Oh, here goes another government coming for my video games." When no, in this one instance, the government actually had a point, and I can't believe I said that. But yeah, don't prey on fucking children. Prey on adults. If you have
The difference is,
How do you do that
Jackson,
without banning children from video games in general? Then.
You know, I would be okay with that. What do you want
Jackson,
me to say?
the difference is that you go to the arcade and you're there to spend the day. You're there to play the games. You're there to go, "Oh, this is the amount of money I have and I'm going to play the games."
Same with video games.
Whereas with microtransactions, you're playing your little video game and it pops and it goes, "You should spend money. Hey, spend this money. Hey, you, spend money." Arcades...
They do that at arcades too.
But the point is you're there to spend money. Whereas with the video game, you have your purchase and the game is constantly poking you to spend more.
Also, you are
manipulative
there
tactics.
you're there with an exact limited amount of money that your parents gave you knowingly.
Not true. You could have a credit card.
Well,
at the
don't
age of
give your
12.
kid a credit card then.
Goes into debt in arcade. Look, arcades are just casinos for children. We need to shut them down or make arcades 18 plus only. Children shouldn't be allowed out of the house. That's my point.
They should be in cages, barely fed
in
water.
In a like, what is it, like a CIA dark room? No technology, no signals allowed in that room.
No
It's just
sound,
a Blake room.
no light,
Yeah.
no nothing. Don't teach him to read. What's wrong with you, Jackson? Monster.
I'm trying to protect the children. They shouldn't
You're
be
trying to
allowed near
protect us
arcades.
from the children. Good lord.
Well, I think it's bigoted and hypocritical that we allow arcades, but we have a problem with microtransactions. They're the same thing.
I think you just got your ass kicked in an arcade by a little 5-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know why you
fucking
fucking
suck
suck
at
on
arcades.
arcades.
Good lord.
They're the same thing.
Jackson, should we ban amusement parks too?
They're not.
Because when you get in, they beg you to buy food and merchandise?
Yeah, I also just don't even
no.
get, I don't even get the comparison. Arcades are not even close to like a microtransaction in Diablo.
You pay money to try to get a prize. Sure, there's more like physical ability required of these arcade games sometimes. You have to throw basketballs at hoops. But it's like fundamentally the same idea. You are paying money for a chance to get a product. That is a loot box.
Because it's an
but in an
experience,
arcade-
Jackson.
But
Well,
in an
so
arcade,
is the
no
video
one
game.
goes, "Hey, look at your friends, they're doing better than you. Don't you want to pay extra money for the better ball so you have
Yeah,
a better
it's
chance,
not like
little
paying
kiddo?"
money changes the games
What?
that you're playing at the arcade.
Oh, when I saw my friend get that like 2,000 ticket, I don't know, Lego set from the arcade store at the end.
Oh, now
you
it's
bet I was going
okay.
back
This
for more.
explains it all.
Jackson, you sound like you're just against the
declare
concept
bankruptcy at
of
16.
you're against the concept of money and advertising. whoa, look at that cool car. I have to go out and buy it because there's a commercial
I was
for
answering. I was answering what Charlie or Kaya said then about how loot boxes are designed to elicit like that advertising aspect as well, and I think arcades are similar in that.
But
okay, let me get this straight for a second. Sorry, Andrew.
No, go
this
ahead.
quote-unquote friend
Yes,
of
and?
yours spent
No, I said it was me.
spent money on 2,000 tickets to get a Lego Starship, I guess, and he failed. Is this your issue?
Oh no, he got it, and then I wanted it. I wanted that.
Oh, okay.
And then
Just
guess
as
what
well.
happened? I was like, "Hey, Mum, can I have $10 to get more tickets?" This was 3 weeks ago, by the way. I love that joke. Bringing back one of the classics.
Did she say no?
I can't remember how that story actually ended.
She probably
I
told you
remember...
to fuck off, Jackson, and that's your protection right there.
Well, then
Well,
they
no,
should
no,
be
here's-
doing it
here's
for
the difference,
loot boxes
Jackson.
as well. Then
Jackson, here's the difference. Your mom had a choice.
Jackson?
You had to ask her for Jackson, sorry. Your mom had a choice. You had to ask her for money, whereas with a mobile game, you completely could have circumvented her. You could have spent as many $10 bills as you wanted.
you can't if your parents are actually smart and don't put your credit card on the system.
Yeah, but
There are ways
most of them
around it.
fucking aren't.
It's like the same. It's the equivalent of like me stealing the credit card from my parents and going and playing at the arcade. It could have been done.
At
Yeah,
an
but you're-
arcade,
That's
they will be
also a
breaking
lot
the
less
law to let
viable.
you pay with a credit
Yeah.
card, to let a 10-year-old pay with it. Whereas
Oh,
mobile game
you can-
developers, they
no,
don't
you
give
can
a
pay.
shit.
You can pay like automatically. There's like self-serve kiosks now at arcades. They make it as easy as possible for children to hand over money.
Yeah, but you'd have. So let's go through this
You can
scenario.
probably take out a loan directly there at the arcade if you need to.
I'd like to walk through this high crime scenario. You steal your parents' credit card out of your mom's purse. You then have to steal her car to drive yourself to the arcade. And then you
No,
have
this
to...
public transport.
No,
Okay.
Charlie, you have to buy an Uber with that credit card.
Oh, true. Yeah,
Yeah, you got the credit card. You can buy a
yeah.
limo.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
A
You're right.
limo to the arcade.
I forgot we were talking about fucking blank
A
check here, I
helicopter.
guess. Okay, yeah.
Or if it's in
Jackson, the way
walking
I
distance.
see
What's this argument?
Who
Jackson,
lives
you're
within
also, like,
walking
putting-
distance of a Dave and Buster's?
What are you
I
Walking
live in
distance.
walking distance. Yeah, I live in walking distance of an arcade, but I am kind of near like my city center, I guess.
Oh, well, I guess Australia is different. I don't think I've ever seen residential areas near an arcade in my life.
Me neither. They're huge now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I don't think you can just blame the parents, Jackson. I know a lot of them are neglectful, but it's
Oh no, I
also
think
like
the kids
it's
are
an
at fault, and so is the arcade. That's my point.
I just don't think there's a lot of similarities between going to an arcade and playing the claw game for like twice as a kid and
Oh,
your parents telling
okay.
you to stop. And
So I
then-
bet you think there's no comparison between casinos and arcades then as well.
Yeah, I'd
in
say
a
they're pretty
casino, you win
different.
money.
I'd say they're pretty different, honestly. Yeah.
Showing your biases. Well, okay, so if the claw machine instead, like, if you successfully picked up $50 bills from the claw machine, would they be similar then?
Yeah, I'd say then it would
That'd
be
be
more
a little- that'd be a
similar
lot
than
closer,
plush
yeah.
toys. Yeah.
Okay. So in that situation, we have now correlated casinos and arcades. So instead, the arcades are in reality, they're giving toys. What are loot boxes giving?
Game bonuses.
Game toys, yes. So there's the comparison there that can be made.
Yeah, but you're still ignoring the whole money aspect of it. I guess, yeah, if we jump through 5 hoops and grant you 8 hypotheticals, then your comparison makes sense. Congratulations, you
That
win
is
the
one.
argument.
No. I refuse to win the argument. No,
Jackson,
I
I don't know what to tell you. It's an arms race from these, like, parents versus trillion-dollar companies, and you're siding with the fucking trillion-dollar companies.
when have I sided with $1 trillion? I've said no arcades should be allowed.
Oh yeah, you wanted to ban
say
those.
tear them all
Well,
down.
What about loot boxes?
Again, same thing. I don't want loot boxes in video games, but I'm saying we give arcades too much slack. They get away with it just because they're
Not exactly a
old-timey-
booming industry, Jackson. Jesus Christ. They're
Yeah.
like so close to dead already. It's not like they're doing great.
How much money does an arcade possibly make? Like, how do you know a single arcade store at one location that made 24 million in 2 weeks?
So you're saying just because they're not successful, they're not dangerous to children?
Yes,
Well, they're certainly
Jax,
not
okay,
as popular
when's
or
the
as
last
dangerous to
time-
children as a mobile game.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, that's what my point was. Mobile games are the new arcades.
Yeah, Yes! That's been a point that people have known for like 15 years, Jackson.
Wait, you guys genuinely just disagree with my comparison between the two this entire time? Don't scream yes.
I still disagree. I don't think they're that comparable, other than the fact that children spend money at an arcade and they spend money on a game.
I was just talking in terms of the product. Like, arcades these days are just giant mobile games like Doodle Jump and Fruit Ninja. Like, they use the same
I'm talking in terms
games.
of how easy it is to access for a child. Obviously, something physical is going to be much more difficult for a child to get addicted to and get easy access to than something that is entirely virtual, that their parents may not even know about that it exists. That's all.
Yeah, you can't exactly be addicted to an arcade as a child. You can't just keep going there over and over and over again without your parents' permission. Whereas a mobile game, you can do that an infinite number of times.
If you're like a bad enough parent where you would let your kid put your credit card on their phone because they're begging you to, I feel like you'd be able to be convinced to take them to the arcade once every like 3 or 4 days.
Even still, once every 3 to 4 days, you could do that on a mobile game.
I'm not.